Thanks once again for joining us for your update from the City of New Hope. It's time to touch base with the mayor to find out what's new and happening in the city. Welcome, Mayor Elder. How are you today?
I'm fabulous. How are you, Dave?
I am very good. Thanks for joining us to give us an idea of what's going on. And we begin with a look back at the last council meeting that happened on Monday, March 24th. Few items you wanted to touch on. First, 3 items in consent. Give us a look back at what was discussed and approved.
Yeah, we as the council made a resolution supporting the use of PEG money, and PEG stands for Public Educational and Governmental Programming. And that's the work that's done through CCX. And we made a resolution as a council to make sure that that money would be earmarked to go to that source. It wasn't until, even as a city councilman for 16 years, I knew CCX was important to us. As mayor, as I get more embroiled, I realize the true service that CCX does, not only to the city, but to all of its residents. And I am amazed the outreach that it has. I routinely hear from a number of different people saying, hey, I saw this on CCX, or I saw you on CCX. And it is so important that we keep that funded so that we can continue to serve our residents, and informed residents help promote accountability, as well as it helps us interact more with the community. People see something on CCX and it sparks an interest or a concern, something about the city, and people reach out and they want to give feedback. And I love feedback. We love to hear what people think about the things that are happening in the city, because without that, we are just plowing along, doing what we think is right. So we are eternally grateful to these services, and we need to make sure they continue. So the council, on a unanimous vote, did agree that this resolution should be passed, and we're ecstatic that it did. We have an event coming up. Another group that is incredible for the city of New Hope is our New Hope Lions. Mm-hmm. They're just a remarkable group. You go to any of our parks and you see those great big garbage container enclosures, the ones that are cement. Those were all purchased by the Lions Club. Mm-hmm. And they do so much giving to local organizations that they're an incredible group. Well, they're having a pancake breakfast
right
on April 6th. They want to get a bunch of signs up, and we have waived the sign fee for that. Again, it was a unanimous vote. Seems like a small thing, but certainly something we can do to support the groups that are supporting not only us in the city, but a lot of other great initiatives throughout the Northwest Metro. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, we approved a expenditure of money from the Joint Water Commission, and we are replacing the altitude valves and hydrant at the South Water Tower. These are 2 things that have reached their end of life, and we decided, as long as we're going to be shutting down that South Water Tower for sanding and repainting interior and exterior, that we would do that at this time. So, and the last item is, I hear with great regularity the state of New Hope roads, and our roads in New Hope have historically been very good. We have started a 10-year pavement improvement plan, which we are using. We're reevaluating every single year. And so we're excited that we will be redoing some roadways this year, none of which will be a full replacement. It won't be necessary for that. So that will be much easier on the residents in the
Yes.
southwest area of the city. And but we did approve a contract with Northwest Asphalt Inc. to do our work this year in the city. We've used them previously. They were good to work with. They did good quality work. And those are really the things that I look for when we're looking at the bids, as well as making sure that, in fact, that this is the lowest responsible bidder. And so we were able to get that through the council. And so we're excited to get that work started and get those roads milled and overlaid. So
Very good. So there's your update from the council meeting on the 24th, some of the highlights that happened there. And again, with that road construction, we'll keep you up to date on that as it moves throughout the summer. Let's now look to other things happening throughout the city. And we've got some business news to talk about in community development. And that would be one new business and an existing nonprofit that's going to do some changing to a parking lot, it sounds like. Give us the overview of those two items.
Absolutely. A couple of times a month, I'm contacted by companies that want to move to New Hope, and they want to talk about the business climate. They want to talk about what the city's like to work with. They really want to see how welcoming we are. And very, very proud of our community development and inspection teams. And they have been really good to work with, is the information I received from companies that come through. A company called Go Fetch Mechanical has recently purchased a building on the at 4500 Quebec Avenue North. That's the area just north of 42nd and Pub 42. Mm-hmm. And that's an industrial area, as well as there's a park just to the west. And they want to come in. They're going to have 10 to 15 full-time employees. And they specialize in commercial and residential HVAC and HVAC and plumbing services and fabrication. So we're excited to have them come in. There's a number of things that need to be done to the property to get it up to code. And so they will work with our teams to get that done. Additionally, Holy Trinity Church at 42nd and Gettysburg is wanting to put in future parking along 42nd Avenue. The church may pursue this in 2026. These projects take some time in the planning process. So when you see it coming to council and coming to the city, a year or a year and a half in advance, that's pretty standard. And that's good planning and good work. Love to see that they need more parking for people attending events there. Yeah. Just a solid congregation and a great place. So we're honored to have them in New Hope.
You mentioned the connection the city has with businesses. Here's one other way the city stays connected is through the Business Networking Group, and you have a preview of their next meeting. When and where and what's the topic?
Absolutely. The Business Networking Group is a group of businesses from New Hope and Crystal that meet monthly, and each month a particular business showcases what they do, and then there is time for each business to kind of discuss what they're seeing, trends, concerns. There's city staff there from each city so that we can work best with these businesses. I've always said and believed that supporting our local businesses is really an important thing. And if they succeed, the city succeeds. So this next one will be April 2nd at 8:30 a.m. It's being held at the New Hope City Hall, and it's being hosted by Ray McCoy. And that will be from the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. So that's more of an educational piece, and that'll be super helpful as we're seeing this group flourish and gain in numbers. We're also bringing in these folks that are calling me to meet to learn about the cities and the culture. I'm introducing them to this group as well so they can speak to other business owners, see how has it been to work with the city, what is it like to own a business in our community. And so it's a great resource for new businesses.
Again, that's April 2nd at 8:30 at City Hall. More information on the city's website. You see it at the bottom of the screen, newhopemn.gov. Next, the scatter site housing, just one property to touch on this week, and it's more of some advance notice. Once again, we've talked about it before, 5410 Wisconsin. Tell us about that house and some of the activity that's coming up in April.
You bet. When we buy a house, we would like to get as much use out of it before we actually do a demolition of it. And that would include our police department's training there. Police departments from New Hope, Crystal, and Robbinsdale engage in training at those residences. Sometimes our SWAT team will come in and do training there. It's always good to get training in unfamiliar surroundings, and it makes people have to think on their feet, and so it's real life training. Our fire department will be conducting training at this residence at 5410 Wisconsin Avenue North.
Right.
And those dates are going to be April 7th, April 10th, April 14th, and April 17th. You will see a lot of fire trucks there.
Okay.
They will be conducting live burns. And of course, things that could get in the way would be too high of winds or other issues like that could make that burn unsafe.
Sure.
So they're safe for the area, and it's again great training for our public servants.
Let's hop ahead to the police department. A couple updates here, and one thing that you note on a regular basis is the police department's connected with many other organizations. Here's another example of that with a partnership with the school district.
Yeah, Chief Hoyt and some of the administration had a series of meetings this last week with District 281. And it's really analyzing the partnerships that the police department has with the school district. And it's more than just safety things. Mm-hmm. There's the MAC groups that are working out of Cooper. This past week, the chief and some other administrators and patrol officers went to Robbinsdale Spanish Immersion School down on Medicine Lake Road in Boone and attended lunch with students. Mm-hmm. And these are all programs, these are all things to help strengthen the partnership with not only the school district, but the students as well. Mm-hmm. And so we continue to have that flourish, and it's a great partnership.
One other item to touch on in the police department, update on the police calls for the past week, and we see a drop in numbers.
Yeah, as we know, it ebbs and flows. And this week we were down on police calls for service. We were at 401 for March 20th through the 26th. Historically, the net call numbers are higher during that week. We look year over year for the same time period. And that's great. That just, but when you look at 400 calls, that's still, our officers are out working. Mm-hmm. And very proud of our police department and the manner in which they're conducting business.
Let's hop ahead to Park and Rec. A few items to touch on here. And we all know this time of the year, it is spring break. So some youngsters looking for things to do, and the city responds, and they might even catch some adults in some of the activities, I understand as well. What's coming up for spring break?
Well, we have a bunch of classes that are kicking off: archery and gymnastics. And the one that caught my attention, pickleball.
Uh-huh.
So unfortunately, having been laid up for a year with an injury, I'm now able to go out and start getting more active again. And I am signing up for a pickleball class. And they're hosted throughout the city, and a lot of different classes, a lot of different options for all different likes And we're excited to have our Parks and Rec have such a wide offering. There's also a mailer that just went out, a little booklet, if you will, and went through that and looked over what the different offerings that were. As I stated, I saw the pickleball and I knew where I'd be for four Wednesday nights coming up this summer.
Good for you. And here is that booklet here that is out now with a little golfer on the front here. So full of information of activities in the city. So make sure you look at that. And who knows, you may see the mayor out on the pickleball court.
Absolutely. And if you do, be kind.
Yes, there we go.
I'm new to this.
I like it. One other thing with Park and Rec to touch on is a lot of work with the forestry in the area. And that department has been busy with the emerald ash borer issues with the ash trees. What is the update there and what are they continuing to do?
Well, they've done an exhaustive inventory of all of our trees that are on either the boulevard, city parks, the golf course, and we as a city are responsible for the removal of those. And it hasn't been a secret. We have put an awful lot of money into this every single year. I remember back when the Emerald Ash started, we started out with $100,000, and we've had years where it's been high as $800,000, and that's to remove trees, grind the stumps, and replant a different type of tree that will grow. And we have moved away from the monoculture trees being just one specific set. When we had the Dutch elm way back when, a lot of ash trees were planted, and ash trees were the primary thing that were planted.
Right.
Now we have the emerald ash borer, and we're finding that those are now the trees. So we're finding that if we really spread out the type of trees that we're putting in, that we're likely to be in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
New Hope has something that Champlin doesn't have a lot of, or Dayton, or Corcoran, or even Rogers. Our trees are lined with fully mature, beautiful trees. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure we provide that to future generations. Okay. And so we're taking down a tree, we're putting another tree back up. And there's an expense to that. Very thankfully, we have been very successful. Sean Markham, our city forester, and our Parks and Recs and Public Works teams have been very, very good at getting grants applied for and received. Mm-hmm. And we just put in a request for a $25,000 grant. The cost for us is we have to agree to put in $6,300 into the program. And if we put that money in, they will give us $25,000. So it's about a $17,700 grant that we will get, and that can help remove some trees. Mm-hmm. And so we will continue to be proactive in searching for grants. As we look at the numbers we've taken down annually, we are hoping that by the end of this year, all city trees will be down and replanted. Mm-hmm. And that will be a big impact for the budget, because that money that we've been putting towards that can go towards other things. And we will have to look at, is there a program that we are going to need to put forward to assist residents who are financially strapped, to help them reduce their costs for removing these emerald ash trees. Mm-hmm. Some cities get a notice from their city saying, you have a diseased tree, it's a public safety hazard, you have 90 days to remove it. And removing a tree can be thousands of dollars. Mm-hmm. And If people haven't planned for this, it can be an incredible hardship.
Right.
New Hope doesn't do that. We're working with residents to get these trees removed, and finding ways to get it so that they can get this done. Obviously, safety is a number one concern, and making sure that we're helping citizens as much as we can is absolutely paramount.
And again, a lot of information on the city's website about the trees within the city and the Emerald Ash Borer. Again, newhopemn.gov to find out more. Final note, Mayor, you wanted to pass along in the human resources area. We have a new staff person coming on that might help with some of the numbers in the city. Tell us more.
Yes, we have a employee, Carol, who is going to be retiring, and she has been with us a great while. Tried and true, wonderful person, has decided it's time to retire. God bless. I think that's fantastic. We did bring on an accountant by the name of Cindy Johnson, who is really well sourced for this job. We are very, very excited to have her on board. She's going through some orientation. She's getting trained in well, and we are, again, excited to have her come on board. Dave, one last thing I did want to touch on briefly is I have gotten a number of phone calls asking, when is the golf course opening?
Yes, I can imagine.
and today, it's supposed to be gorgeous. This weekend, we're taping this on Friday. This weekend does not look conducive to golf. They are hoping to have it open first part of February. To me, that looks like next week. We'll see how that works. They're just being extra cautious right now with the grass not really being in a growing stage, that we don't want to stunt or thwart grass growth coming in by trampling on it now. So we have great people at our golf course, which is evident by the way it looks during season. They'll make the right decisions. We'll get that open as soon as we can, and get that amenity available to the public. I'm excited to get back into golf. I need maybe some humility and more frustration in my life.
There you go. All right. So early April, be watching for more information about the golf course. Mayor, thanks so much again for your time today and for the update to keep residents in touch. And again, stick with us. Here's a look at some other things coming up in the city. Mayor, take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Dave, thank you so much, sir.
For more city stories, check out ccxmedia.org or find us on social media.